Hello, Tungsten Miner here. Today I'm doing a mod spotlight on MrCrayfish's vehicle mod. I've been using this in my most recent mod pack, Ad Astra, and it's really cool. But there are a few things which are not obvious from the get-go. So let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to need is this vehicle workbench. And that's this guy right here. So just red concrete, gray concrete. You need a lot of concrete, so kind of get used to making that. Once you've got one though, and you click on it, you can cycle through all of the different vehicles that are available. And there's a lot of them. So I'm going to focus on this mini bike right here. In order to make this, we can see it's telling us we need 24 iron ingots, some black wool, an engine, a small engine of some kind or another, and some wheels. And we can see there's a lot of different choices for all of these things. So there's a wood tier, a stone tier, iron tier, and so forth. All of the recipes I've got in here are specific to this mod pack, and they won't be the standard ones, but it should give you a general idea that you're going to need to assemble a bunch of materials. If you're playing in the Ad Astra mod pack, which we're doing right now, you're going to see a mix of items that come from a bunch of different mods that are part of the mod pack. And all of the engines in this mod pack use roughly the same formulas, just a little bit different ingredients in order to build the different things. But as I say, this is not the standard recipes for these things. Look up whatever you've got in your JEI or NEI in your mod pack to see exactly what the recipes ought to be. Anyway, moving on. Once you've got your engine and you've got your tires, then you can assemble your vehicle. So I've prepared all the stuff we need, and I'm going to throw in the black wool. It already recognizes that I have it. I've got my iron. It's recognized that I've got that, so it's changed from being in my inventory or not. And then I've also got a small engine, which I can put in this space up here, and my tires, which I can put in the space up here. And at the moment, I could just craft this thing if I wanted to. I have the option to add some paint, so I'll do that too. Craft, and then it kicks out this little box. I grab my box, and I'm going to toss it down on the ground over here. But first, game mode 2, survival, because if I put this down in creative, it'll just open it straight away. But if I put it down in survival, the box stays shut. In order to open it, I'm going to need a wrench, which I can then click on the top, right click on the top. A harmless but scary looking explosion, and you wind up with whatever your vehicle was. Now I can hop on this thing and I can't go anywhere. So I'm pressing my forward button and nothing's happening. And that's because this thing has no fuel in it. And you can see up in the top corner there, my blocks per second is 0, I'm not moving, and my fuel is 0 out of 15,000. So let's talk a bit about fuel. If I were in creative mode, that wouldn't be a problem. I could just fly around and do whatever I wanted on my motorbike. But over here, I've got this set up for making fuel in Ad Astra. This is different, again, from the standard recipe. So over here, we can see ender sap is this. Yeah, my JEI is not showing us, so never mind. We'll skip over that part. If you make yourself some ender sap and some blaze juice, I forget what the recipes are, that's the standard vanilla formula. But if you're playing in Ad Astra, as we are right now, it's a little more complicated, and it involves a couple of other mods. So over here, just walk you through the setup. We've got a standard energy cell with a magmatic dynamo full of magma, so it's producing plenty of energy filling up this cell. We've then got some conduits that are plugged into the backs of all these machines, giving them all power. Over here, we've got a chest with bitumen, which can be found naturally deposited in the world. In Ad Astra, you'll find this in desert and mesa biomes, just kind of mixed in with the sand. It'll be like black specks in the sand as you're walking around. That goes into a magma crucible. That'll melt down the bitumen and produce, in fact, let's just get some flowing in the system here. That's going to melt down the bitumen and produce crude oil. Here we go, showing crude oil, which then moves into this machine. This fractioning still is going to convert that into naphtha, which eventually will wind up over here. And that will start processing. The naphtha will get converted into Eventually we'll see some refined fuel show up over on this side here. And then that quickly will get transmitted into fuelium, which is the fuel that is native to the vehicle mod. Unfortunately, the vehicle mod does not have configurations for modpack makers to allow vehicles to run on anything else, at least not yet. So we're stuck with using fuelium. So in Ad Astra, this is probably the simplest way to get yourself some fuelium, starting with bitumen that you find mixed in with sand, magma crucible to melt it into crude oil converts into naphtha, naphtha converts into refined fuel converts into fuelium. So that's the trick here. And at that point, we now can pick up this guy by right-clicking, and we can move over to a vehicle. And if we aim carefully at the fuel hub and hold down right-click, then it's going to pour fuel into this vehicle. Now, unfortunately, there's no indication that you're done, except that very subtle kind of cover just comes back again. So this vehicle is now full, and we've used up a pretty decent amount of the fuel that was in here. Drop that back on, and now if I go to game mode survival, I can hop on this thing and we can actually start to drive around. Okay, so that's your moped. There's a bunch of vehicles in the mod, of course. Some of them are just like the moped, land vehicles you drive around. There's a couple of water vehicles, a jet ski, an aluminum boat, a motorboat, which work more or less as you'd expect. They go around in water instead. There's even an aircraft, which flies, naturally. And then there's a bunch of other vehicles that are not themselves mobile, but they're additions, trailers of various kinds. They all work more or less the same way, so I'm going to demonstrate the mechanic using this storage trailer. And the way this works is I'm going to right-click on the hitch portion, and now it's going to follow me around. So if I wanted to, I could just drag this thing around and have some extra storage. If I want to get rid of it, I just squat down and it stays where it is. So right-click to follow, and then crouch down to get it to stop. However, much more interesting is if I attach it to another vehicle which has a trailer hitch. And you can see this smart car does have a trailer hitch. So if I right-click on the back of the car, this storage trailer now connects to the smart car. So I'm going to switch to game mode creative because I haven't put any fuel in this thing. And when I jump in here and start driving, the trailer comes along with me. Now you notice it's tagging a little behind, and then it catches up, and then it falls behind. This just depends upon the lag of your server, so you may see this fall behind a bit more. If your server is really laggy, then it might actually become detached. So kind of keep an eye out for that trailer. It's possible that you might leave it behind. I haven't actually had this problem myself, even when the server's been really laggy, so probably it'll be just fine for you. There's a trailer hitch over here on the back of this trailer. And you would think if I had another storage trailer, I could just attach it. Unfortunately, in this version that I'm using right now, there's a bug, and that doesn't actually work. So for the time being, you get one trailer and you can't connect another one, but super handy to be able to bring those along. There's a bunch of different vehicles that all have trailer hitches, so keep an eye out for that in the workbench. And finally, there's some extra items that make moving liquids around a little bit easier, as you might expect. So this is just a regular fuel barrel, and I can grab anything I want, say like a fuelium bucket here. I'll just cheat that in, and if I right-click, I can just dump stuff in there. And if I want to see what's in there, I'm going to crouch down, and it's going to give me a preview of what's in this barrel. This is an industrial fuel barrel, which means it has, I think, twice the capacity, just about. This is, I think, 40 buckets, and I think this is 70. Crouch down, I can see this is 10 buckets worth of water in there, so you can get a sense of how much stuff you can put in there. These two items are jerry cans. So I can take this jerry can and hold down, right-click, not hold down, but keep repeatedly clicking it, and eventually this jerry can will fill itself up. So it's 100% full now. And then I can bring it over to any vehicle just like the gas pump and I can fill up the tank of this vehicle. And you can see the damage meter on the jerry can going down as it gets depleted. And then this is an industrial jerry can, so it can hold a bunch more. So 15 buckets here, 5 buckets here. These are pretty handy to be able to carry around when you know you're going on a long trip or doing an exploration. Maybe you go out, you use up all your fuel, and then you refill your vehicle with your jerry can to be able to make a trip back home again. That's about it. There's a couple of items I haven't covered. There's this traffic cone, there's these boost ramps. They're pretty obvious how to use them. I think you'll figure it out, no big deal. There's also this spray can, which allows you to change the color of a vehicle after the fact. So you just mix yourself up. Stop it. There we go. Some iron, water, and then whatever your pigment is. And then that will allow you to make a different color can. So that's it for Mr. Crayfish's vehicle mod. So you make your workbench, get your crate, drop it down, whack it with a crowbar or a wrench to open it up. Got to make yourself some fuel, so you've got your whole pipeline for doing that. And then filling up your vehicle using the gas pump and right-clicking on the gas cap. Trailers, talked about a little bit. There's a bunch of different kinds of trailers. We only covered just this one, but there's a lot of them. And then finally, some liquid storage and transport. So I hope you enjoy the vehicle mod. I certainly have. It's been super, super fun, especially that light aircraft. Fantastic way to get around the world. That's it. Talk to you later.